Thank you to James Narengi for rejoining as a YouTube member, and another reminder that memberships will be switching to Patreon for next year, so if you'd like to become a member and support the work that I do for this channel, you can do by clicking the link in the description down below. Thank you to all members for your support. Now let's get on with the video. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the Super League playoffs. I've left a recap of last round's predictions up on screen for you guys to check out. Pretty happy with that overall. Decent percentage on the season. Few more games to go. We got 2 this weekend. As always, let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. Always want to know what you guys think. Don't get many people commenting, but I do want to get more people. Let me know your thoughts. So let me know in the comments down below. Let's get on with the first game of this week. Kicking things off, we have the Leigh Leopards taking on Wakefield Trinity. Starting with form, Leigh have won 5 in their last 5 games. Wakefield have won 3 in their last 5 games. Now, they've played 3 times already this season. Leigh have won twice, but in terms of total score, it's actually majorly in favour of Wakey. They've won 72-58 on the whole season. The first time they played, it was 40 points to 12 or 14, something like that, and then they played the week after in the Challenge Cup. Now, Leigh should be at full strength, if I'm not mistaken. If they're not at full strength, it's unbelievably close. The only players that we know are out from ages ago would be David Armstrong. He's been out for a while at this point, so Hodgson is pretty much settled at fullback anyway at this point, but everybody else should be good as far as I'm aware. For Wakey, the only major loss that I believe they've got for this one is Max Jowett, and he is one of the biggest losses, if not the biggest loss. Depends who you ask. That's a big loss for Wakey this week. I think both packs in this one are quite similar. Very mobile, very pacey, strong runners. So that's going to be interesting. I think in terms of production, who tends to get more meters through the middle, who's more impactful, I think it's been Leigh this season. In terms of which group of middles, which pack, which defense can keep other packs contained a little bit better, I think it's been Leigh as well. So I think in terms of the back and forth, trying to punch holes through the middle, I think Leigh are probably better equipped for this one, especially with Joe Offengawi come back in the side. That's huge. I think in terms of depth, size, I think Leigh are going to be better off up front. But Wakey can absolutely compete. If they find ways to get quicker play the balls, find more post-contact meters, get more offloads, they can change the game through the middle. But I think typically this season we've seen that Leigh have been the better side. And then their average gain as well is higher. That does include backs as well, so it might not be specific to the forwards, but that whole Leigh side get a lot more average gain per carry than Wakefield does. So another matchup I think that is interesting in this one, probably the centres. It's kind of a major advantage for Leigh, in my opinion. I like everyone that I've seen play at centre for Wakey this year, whether it be Scott, whether it be Pratt, whether it be Hall, whatever combination they've had to use this year. I think they've had to use Griffin in the centre as well. They're going to be coming up against Niu and Hanley. I think they've been the 2 best centres in the comp this year. And you guys know how I feel about Umila Hanley. But yeah, Niu this season has been unbelievable. One of the signings of the season. Great impact player with his carries out the backfield. Really dangerous inside the 10 as well. And when you kind of get to the midfield battle, when you see the centres trying to take a carry around the outside, when they're on Umila Hanley's side, good luck with that one, because he barely lets you get past. I cannot remember the last time I saw a player just get around Umila Hanley. Some of you guys might know, but I cannot tell you the last time I saw that happen. And kind of the same with Tessie Niu as well. He's really strong, really reliable defensively, but those carries and their ability to actually get around the outside of players, barge over inside the 10, is pretty good and has been really good this year. So I think the centre matchups will be a major advantage for Leigh. They might be the biggest advantage, actually. We'll see how the game goes, though. Experience-wise, for Wakey, you can look at guys like McMeekin and John Stone. They've been in some big games in their career. McMeekin's been around for a long time. But on the side of Leigh, you've got Lamb, who's played, internationally and in playoffs as well. You got Charnley, has played in grand finals. You got O'Brien, who's played plenty of games in his career. Ipape has playoff experience as well. So Leigh's playoff experience against Wakey in this one is going to be an advantage in terms of being able to settle in an environment like this. And also the Challenge Cup final experience. I'm not sure how many guys from that 2023 Challenge Cup are still in that Leigh side, but there's a couple. But I think in terms of overall experience, it does lean towards Leigh in this one as well. And then you look at some of the really impactful, really important players. Lachlan Lamb, probably the most important on the field. He's been exceptional this season. I can't remember the number of assists. It's 40, 41, something like that, and a handful of tries as well. But he has been incredible. I don't know how he got those numbers, but he's doing it. Nobody's been able to shut him down properly. Always finds a way to get it done. And I think the final comment on this one, I've said a couple times over recent weeks about teams needing to elevate to find a different level. It's the same for this one. I think Leigh are sort of here, Wakey's there, and they need to elevate to find another level. There've been other times where I've said that a team needs to do that, and they have done it. But Wakey need to make sure that they are quick in possession, they are creative, they're not doing the same thing over and over again, and that they are clean. They've got to complete sets. They've got to make sure they're not just gifting Leigh the ball inside the midfield or inside their own territory. And a positive for Leigh in that aspect is that they've had the fewest errors in the league this year. So it is less likely that Leigh will just gift territory to Wakey. Now, if they do, that brings Wakefield into the game. If they give away a bunch of penalties, that brings Wakefield into the game. Based on errors at least, Leigh have been the cleanest side in the competition. And in most other stats areas, most other important stats areas, Leigh are above Wakefield as well. So I think there's a lot that leans towards Leigh, but that doesn't mean that I don't think Wakey can win this one, because I think that they can. And if they do, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just the evidence is leaning me to go with Leigh on this one. And I think with that home crowd as well, it will certainly help get that atmosphere, get that vibe going with Derek and his pyrotechnics. But yeah, for prediction in this one, I'm going to go with Leigh Leopards 24, Wakefield Trinity 18. Finally for this week, we have Leeds Rhinos taking on St Helens. Starting with form, Leeds have won 3 in their last 5 games. Saints have won 2 in their last 5 games. Now, I don't think there are any major losses for either side in this one. As far as I'm aware, Murphy is not available for Saints. I don't know what the deal was with Owen Dagnall, whether it was an end-of-season thing. I don't know. But in terms of player availability, pretty sure everyone's pretty much okay, aside from Murphy. Now, these sides have already played 4 times this year. This will be their 5th time this season. Fantastic. Saints have won 3 of the 4 games played so far. The most recent ones, they were very comfortable, Saints. I think they'd conceded 4 points in total. It was 18-4, second to last time, and the last time was 6-0. So defensively, still not bad for Leeds, but attacking-wise, they weren't great, and Saints really had their number on the last 2 occasions. Leeds do need to make sure that they actually complete sets this week. That's been something that's been an issue for the last few weeks, and it was a major issue against Wigan. There are other things to get into, but that is one. They've got to complete sets. That was actually a major issue against Saints when they played them the last couple of times. You've got to complete your sets, because as I just said for the last game, you can't just gift territory. You can't just keep gifting it away and expect not to be punished. Now, unless the defence turns up massively, which we know that Leeds' defence can do, you just don't want to be gifting Saints territory, even if their attack hasn't been that great, and they're talking points I'll get onto in a second. Another thing with Leeds is that their attack has been off in the last couple of weeks. Even when they beat Huddersfield a few weeks back 26-0, they didn't look great in possession. They looked really clunky, really dull, and a little bit unimaginative as well. So even though they were completely comfortable, the defence was fine in that one. The last few weeks since that game, the attack has looked off for Leeds. It's looked really off. A huge positive is that Jake Connor should be back for this one. So they get the full spine back. They got the full pack available. They got the full group of backs as well. Maybe it's fixed for this week. We'll see. Now, Saints' defence as a counter to Leeds' attack has been good all season long. The last few weeks, not maybe been up to scratch of the peak Saints' defence we've come to see this year. They've conceded 24 to Cass, 28 to Leigh, and 18 to Wigan in the last 3 weeks. Not terrible numbers, but 24 against Cass, probably shouldn't be conceding that. 28 against Leigh are a good side, but that's probably still a bit too much. And then 18 against Wigan, not too bad. You can excuse that, to be honest, because Wigan have been great in the last few weeks. You've got a weaker attack for Leeds versus a slightly weaker looking defence for Saints. But with Connor now back in there with Miller and Croft. Croft has looked a bit uncomfortable without Connor as well, so now that's all back to normal. Will they look good? So in terms of Leeds attack versus Saints defence, my trust, because Connor's back, leans slightly in favour of Leeds' attack. Then on the other side, it's kind of similar in that Saints' attack is looking pretty dull, and Leeds' defence hasn't been that amazing in the last few weeks. A few weeks prior, it was incredible. There was the dominant performance against Cass. There was the game against, I think there was one against Hull KR, and then against Hull FC after that, keeping them to really low scoring points, and then 0 against Huddersfield as well. But then against Catalans, they were completely dominated, I think, in a lot of areas, and then against Wigan as well. They need to be careful. But I do trust Leeds' defence in this one because of what it can be versus what Saints have shown offensively in recent weeks. That's another positive for Leeds. I also think offloads will be huge in this one. We've seen that Leeds get a countless number of offloads. It's ridiculous. Fortunately, you can count it because they are top of the stats for offloads this year. Saints are actually 3rd. There are 20 or so offloads behind on the season. Offloads will be huge. We see time and time again that Leeds keep getting offloads. There's been a couple times recently where they did that against... They did it against Huddersfield. They did it against Catalans, but it didn't amount to much. It got them up the field, you know, a few extra metres at a time, which was good stuff, and they need that against Saints. We saw against Hull KR, against Castleford, against Hull FC when they did that, they were able to come up with points off the back of it. Now, the final point is that both of these sides have really big forward packs. I believe that Saints are at full strength, I believe, so that would be Wormsley, Lees, Knowles, Passy, Delaney. I believe those guys, those first few guys I mentioned, are fit and healthy. But for Leeds, you've got Oledzki, Jenkins, Holroyd is now back as well, Palacia. I'm not sure what the deal is with Cassell at the moment. I think he might have been rested last week because he was playing the reserves grand final or something. But that pack for Leeds might be the best in the league. It's certainly in the conversation, but I think Leeds forward pack can do enough. And even if it's maybe kind of 50-50, the same thing they do, I'm going to say it again, they go right to one side, left to the other, to the centres, normally to Hanley and Newman, and then they cut back inside and eat up some more metres. That's another way of gaining metres through the middle. So they'll keep doing that. Saints don't really do that as much. Leeds love to do that, and that's what helps them to gain the extra metres up front. So I do think, in terms of metres, leans towards Leeds. In terms of attack versus defence, in favour of Leeds, I think they might just about be okay, and then vice versa. I think defensively Leeds will just about be okay. They do need to make sure they complete sets. Saints haven't been perfect with set completion recently either, so they need to be clean, but I just think it's another case of Saints need to elevate to reach what Leeds can. Maybe the matchup just works perfectly for Saints. I think this is going to have a proper grand final feel, very back and forth, a lot of kicking. The pack suits Leeds to get up the field a little bit easier. There's less long-range kicking for Croft and Connor. So for prediction in this one, I'm going to go with Leeds Rhinos 18, St Helens 12. So there you have my Super League Play-Off Eliminator predictions. If you guys have your own predictions, please do let me know in the comments section down below. I do want to know what you guys have to think for this weekend. Any talking points, any notes? If I've also mentioned a player that I believe is fit that isn't, I do apologise. I want to try and make sure that I'm up to date with things like that for next year. There's people in the Discord that do help with letting me know who's suspended and who's injured, things like that. So if I'm ever wrong with player availability, just let me know. And if I need to make a sweeping statement and completely change a prediction, I'll put it in the pinned comment anytime I have to. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But if you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like. It does help to get the video out there to more people. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with more Kinetic Rugby League content. And if you'd like to become a member, you can do by clicking the link in the description down below. But that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.